Pope Francis is in the hospital and things are not looking good. At 87 years old, he has spent over a decade carrying the weight of the Catholic Church on his shoulders. He has endured lung infections, surgeries, and countless diplomatic challenges. Now, reports suggest that he is in critical condition. While no one wants to say it out loud, the inevitable question is already hanging in the Vatican air. Who comes next? This is where things take an interesting turn. In the long and sometimes unpredictable history of the papacy, there has never been a Filipino pope, but that could soon change. The name that is being whispered in Vatican circles is Luis Antonio Tagle. He is not a well-known name for everyone, but in the world of Catholic leadership, he is a serious contender. Often called the Asian Pope Francis, Tagle is charismatic, deeply intellectual and humble, a rare combination that has allowed him to rise through the ranks without making too many enemies. And now, if the conclave follows a certain path, he could be the one stepping onto the famous balcony in St. Peter's Square. Imagine the significance of this moment, a Filipino pope leading the Catholic Church, coming from a country with one of the most passionate and deeply rooted Catholic cultures in the world. This is not a wild fantasy. This is a real possibility. Pope Francis has spent his time modernizing the Church, breaking old traditions, and pushing for a more compassionate and progressive Catholicism. But he has also made enemies. The traditionalists despise him. The ultra-conservatives in the Vatican have long been waiting for his exit. Now, with his health in decline, the battle for the future of the Church is about to begin. The process of choosing a new pope is not democratic. There are no campaigns, no debates, and no public votes. The decision is made behind closed doors in a secretive, incense-filled gathering of 120 cardinals. It is a political power play, full of alliances and backroom deals. And in this arena, Tagle has been carefully positioned for years. He has worked closely with Pope Francis, built a reputation as a bridge between tradition and modernity, and earned respect across different factions. He is seen as a leader who can balance the Church's deep-rooted traditions with the need for change. If Tagle is chosen, it will be historic. He would be the first non-European pope in centuries, the first Asian pope, and a leader who truly understands the Catholic faithful in the global South. The Philippines is home to over 85 million Catholics, people who do not just practice their faith on Sundays but live it every day. For them, a Filipino pope would not just be a historic event, it would be deeply personal. Beyond the Philippines, the Catholic Church is at a crossroads. In the West, churches are emptying, belief is declining, and many are moving away from traditional religious institutions. But in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, Catholicism is thriving. The Church needs a leader who can connect with these regions, someone who can bring fresh energy to a faith struggling to stay relevant in the modern world. Tagle has the qualities to do just that. He speaks multiple languages, understands social media, and has a warmth that makes people listen. He represents the shift the Church desperately needs. However, there are obstacles. The Vatican is resistant to radical change. There are still many powerful figures who believe that the Pope should always be European, preferably Italian. And history has shown that papal elections are full of surprises. Pope Francis himself was not the front-runner in his election, yet he emerged as the chosen leader. Will history repeat itself with Tagle? Even discussing the possibility of a Filipino pope is a sign that the Church is evolving. The Vatican may move slowly, but change is inevitable. If Tagle does become pope, it will be a game-changer, not just for Filipinos, but for the entire Catholic world. Millions of believers who have never seen someone who looks like them or speaks their language leading the Church will finally have a pope who understands their world. It will be a moment of pride and validation. If he is not chosen, the conversation has already started. The fact that Tagle is a serious contender means that the Catholic Church is beginning to recognize the importance of its followers outside of Europe. The world is changing, and whether the Vatican likes it or not, the Church will have to change with it. For now, all eyes are on Pope Francis. If he recovers, the inevitable is delayed. If not, the Vatican doors will close, the cardinals will gather, and the world will wait for that famous plume of white smoke. And if by chance the name announced to the world is Luis Antonio Tagle, history will be written in a way it never has before.